Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. So, as you can see on the map, you can clearly see that the Avdiivka pocket is now collapsing. Now, before I talk more about the collapse of the Avdiivka pocket and what is to happen next, I want to talk about the possibility of the personnel changes within the confines of the Ukrainian military. There is serious friction between the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, and the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian armed forces, the head, the senior general in charge of the Ukrainian armed forces, Zelensky. So why is Volodymyr Zelensky looking to sack his top general, Zelensky? Now, there has been a statement by Zelensky recently, and I think it's very important to dissect this statement. You also have to understand that Zelensky is not a military man. He is an actor. He was placed in that position by neo-liberal powers in Western Europe. He checks all the boxes for the requirements of a neo-liberal leader. No military experience. Does not understand the operational art. Knows nothing about military matters other than what he has been told by his senior military leaders. Now, over the course of this conflict, he now believes, he being Zelensky, believes that he understands military matters. He believes he understands the psychology of war. He understands the psychology of war in terms of how it affects him in his inner circle. Now let me read you this statement from Zelensky, and I think this is, again, incredibly important to dissect and listen to exactly what he's saying in terms of the words that he is using. Now, this is Zelensky, quote unquote. "I mean a replacement of a series of state leaders, not just a single sector like the military," Mr. Zelensky said. "If we want to win, we must all push in the same direction. Convinced of victory, we cannot be discouraged. Let our arms fall." Now, this is the most important part of this comment, folks. Listen to this. "We must have the right positive energy. We must have the right positive energy." That's very important. Why is that important? Because that is how he feels. When he is sitting in a meeting with his top generals, and his generals are saying, "We are losing. We are being defeated, and we have to change strategy." That is not giving Zelensky that positive feeling that he needs. He is being discouraged. Volodymyr Zelensky requires positive reinforcement. So thus he believes that his generals when it comes to these staff meetings, he needs to feel good. Neoliberal leader. It's about how you feel. Not about the calculus on the ground, what's really happening. It's about how you make me feel. How you make me feel. And that's why he is sacking Zaluzhny. Not because he is a bad leader, not because he is a poor military planner, not because he has made incompetent decision-making processes. He is not making Zelensky feel positive. So Zelensky is going to make the catastrophic error, and he is going to hire yes men. And those yes men are going to respond to Zelensky's edicts. In terms of, I want no bad news, and more military decisions I will be making. And I predict it will ultimately lead to the downfall both of the Ukrainian military. The Ukrainian military will be defeated, and it will eventually lead to the downfall of the Ukrainian current political apparatus, including Zelensky. But it's amazing to see this and exactly what is happening and how the political leadership, the civilian political leadership, is eventually going to absolutely destroy the Ukrainian military. It's being done now. Zaluzhny knows what is happening on the ground. And he is doing what he can to hold the line. He understands fully, without an air force, without this continued inflow of Western supplies, the outlook for victory, in whatever that means for Zelensky, is out the window. And the psychological profile of Volodymyr Zelensky, one of his main key flawed attributes is he is an incredibly stubborn human being. Once he makes a decision, if that decision is in fact even a wrong decision or poor decision, he will stick by that decision. And unfortunately for the Ukrainian side of things, this is going to not probably end well. If you are a Russian supporter, this is probably exactly what you want. The sacking of Zaluzhny. Because he gets it. I think Zaluzhny gets it. And being Zelensky, he doesn't get it at all. Now, as you can see here on the map, you can see that the Avdiivka pocket is indeed collapsing. What's going to happen next is, if you see here, if you look at the northeastern quadrant of the map, just to the south by southeast of the major industrial complex here, you can see the Russians have achieved a breakthrough. Once the Russians sever this intersection here, and it looks like that is their goal, is the Industrial Avenue intersection, just to the south of the main coke refinery, or the coke plant. That will shut off all supplies to the southern sector or Avdiivka proper, including the main defensive redoubt, which is in the old Soviet sector, with the large Soviet multi-dwelling units. The only other way, once that intersection is secured by Russian infantry units, will be this route here. Now the problem is, this route passes about, here let's look at the distance on the map here, 2.4 kilometers from Russian secured positions. 2.4 kilometers. So the Russians can shell this last avenue for the supply of Avdiivka with short-range mortars. Every weapon system in the Russian arsenal, including long-range sniper systems, can hit targets trying to make it into Avdiivka. So 2 routes in right now, and the Russians are looking to break through and secure the northern in and out route to Avdiivka. And again, they've busted through the main southern defensive barrier, and now they're fighting in the outlying suburbs of Avdiivka proper. They are just, in terms as a bird flies, 1 kilometer from the main defensive redoubt. This area here. These are the large multi-dwelling units. Let's go and have a look at this area on a better map. We're going to use the Rondelli Foundation map. And again, this is pretty much the same in terms of what is being reported. You can see the Russians have penetrated the main Ukrainian defensive barrier here and are now fighting inside the suburbs, the northern suburbs. Again, this is the industrial avenue that the Russians are probably trying to secure eventually and cut off all supplies. And in the south here, you can see again the dozens and dozens of old Soviet-era apartment blocks. Now, there are tunnels, there are bunkers, what have you, under this area. Now, this is going to be a tough nut to crack. They've probably reinforced it. They probably have quite a few supplies. But ultimately, they're going to just cut it off, and eventually those forces that are in this area will run out of ammunition. They will run out of food, water, what have you, and ultimately they will probably surrender. And we're seeing this in terms of the Ukrainians being driven back. We're seeing it in a multitude of sectors. A multitude of sectors. We're not seeing large-scale maneuver operations, but it is death by 1,000 cuts, where the Russians are affixing Ukrainian units and then destroying those Ukrainian units with heavy artillery, drone strikes, and then ultimately tanks and infantry come in and then clean up. And you're seeing it everywhere along the line. You're even, again, the bulge near Robotyne is decreasing day by day as the Russians continue to attack. And slowly but surely, I think we're working towards a major Russian offensive, which could completely collapse the Ukrainian lines and lead to a rapid collapse of the Ukrainian military, especially with what is happening within the political sphere. The sacking of Zelensky himself taking more charge of the conflict, and we anticipate we'll see more poor decision-making processes by this neoliberal leader, because again, it's about what makes him feel good. Not about the calculus on the ground. It's about what's going to make Zelensky feel good. And that is what is going to lead to his downfall. Thanks for joining us today. More to come very, very soon. As always, have a good day.